to the Future of Learning. I'm your host, Miss Sutherd, and today I am so excited to have the opportunity to speak with a science teacher from the Ron Clark Academy, Mr. Daniel Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, glad to be here.
Can you give us a little background of who you are, how long you've been in education?
Yeah, so I'm actually from Alabama. I graduated from Auburn University, War Eagle. And so I've been teaching now for about 10 years. And my degree was in secondary science education. Wasn't sure if I wanted to go into education until about 2 months into my freshman year when my mom told me that I'd be a good teacher. And so started doing education and taught for 3 years in public school. And the job that I'm at now has they were revolutionizing education, and I wanted a piece of that pie, and a job came open, so I went after it.
Amazing. So for everyone who's listening and doesn't quite know what the Ron Clark Academy is, can you fill us in a little bit?
So the Ron Clark Academy is a nonprofit private school in Atlanta, Georgia, and we train educators from around the world. The school looks just like a castle. It is built with the idea of Hogwarts and Lord of the Rings and all the awesome things in mind. There's flying dragons, and it's really cool. And so we've got about 150 students at our school. We travel around the world. Of course, COVID has stifled that just a little bit. But the biggest piece is we love training educators on what we're doing at the school. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what, before COVID, because obviously COVID has messed everything up, what was the goal? What was Ron Clark Academy trying to do with education?
So it's a very unique place in terms of how the school looks and what we do with kids and things like that. We believe in giving teachers freedom to do their thing. And so we stand on tables, we sing songs, we do chants, we have wacky hand motions. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do in our school that you may not see in a normal classroom setting. It's very high energy. It is a lot of lights, a lot of sounds. And it's a unique place. And so a place where I think that any kid would love to wake up and say, I get to go to school today. And we want to share that idea with kids all over the world, and teachers all over the world. And so what we are doing is we have educator training called RCA EXP, and we have about anywhere from 300 to 400 educators visit every other Friday. And so this Friday coming up, we have 400 educators that are visiting that are going to sit in our classrooms, and they're going to watch what we do.
That's amazing. So educators come, do their admin come too? Because I feel like educators, really? Okay. Yeah, because I know educators are totally all in on all of this. It's the admin sometimes that you have to convince or sway one way or another.
Yeah, so we have admin, we have superintendents, we have district leaders, we have teachers, we even had students, students that are interning in college to be a teacher. We've had them visit the school. And, what we find is we have a extremely great success rate. And these teachers go back and they are revived. Their educational careers, they have a renewed spirit, and they're motivated, and they want to go back and try to make this change in their school as well.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so exciting. One day I'm going to visit. What did COVID do because everything is very hands-on, in person. How did you guys shift gears when COVID hit?
Yeah, so I think that we saw a lot of what everybody observed, where it just slowed us down a lot. For me as a teacher, my pace of teaching and my ability to get through content was one struggle, but also we are big on students communicating and collaborating and talking to each other in our school is a really big piece that we have. And the mask, we feel like definitely socially disengage some of our students. Right now, we're dealing with students that retention seems to be an issue right now with a lot of our students and holding on to that information. And so it definitely slowed us down. We are a school that travels. We go all over the world, South Africa, Japan. I've taken students to the Galapagos. And right now, that has taken a hit, but we are, as of now, starting back our traveling. And so we've had students go to Utah in January, and next week we're taking students to New York City. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's amazing. When you go travel with your students, I'm sure it changes based on location, but what are some of the things that you do with them?
You're exactly right. As we travel, it does depend on where we're going. So when we go to Japan, our students actually have a pen pal, and they, when we visit the school of Wakayama in Japan, they will go and stay with that student at their home. They'll learn about the culture, about food, about the language. It's really neat. If we visit the Galapagos, we learn about all the different animals and the scientific expeditions, the islands, the volcanoes. It's very exciting. Also, when we visit New York City, we typically do something called the Amazing Race, which is where our co-founder of the school, Ron Clark, he goes around the city and he picks out different tasks for us to do. Like, for example, we may have to run up in a Dave & Buster's and somebody will be waiting there. We shoot a 3-point shot, and if we beat the person, they give us a clue. If you lose to the person, he may give you a different clue that leads you in a different direction. And there's little tasks along the way, because Ron was in Survivor. And so he believes in doing things like, oh, there's an immunity idol right there. You can pick that up, and that can give you some sort of immunity later on in the task. And so really neat. But the final, so the final task, we do this for 6 or 7 hours. And I think the last time I had like 19,000 steps on my Apple Watch. And we get to the last task, and whoever finished first, they get some sort of prize. And so a few years ago, they got to go see Hamilton.
Oh my gosh. I feel like this school educates the entire, like the whole child. It's not just about academics.
Right.
It's everything. That's amazing. I'm sure there's many things, but if you could like teach public education one thing, what would it be?
Right. I think the biggest area right now that I'm kind of seeing that's becoming an issue, and it's in areas where teachers visit our school and they tell us about where their students are struggling, but also it's like my nephew is in school. When I talked to him, my wife was in public school. I talked to her, and it is that I worry that teachers in our profession today, they're not striving to continue to be excellent, I guess, is being a lifelong learner. We all had that teacher that was maybe like, oh, they had been in the game for 25 years and they were still doing the thing that they did their very first year. And so striving to always be a lifelong learner, to continue studying, to study what's current, to be always in tune with what's going on in the world and in your field, and sharing that with your students. Also, the teaching strategies, continuing to strive to be the best. And so my third year teaching, I was across the hall from a lady that she was retiring in 2 years, but I love teaching beside her, because I would share ideas with her, but she would equally come across the hall and tell me something that she had found. And I was like, wow, this lady has been teaching for 60 years and she still is striving to learn and to do. And kids see that. Kids, they know that the work that's being put in, they see the work that's being put in. And so her efforts it kind of inspired me to say, okay, I have to always continue to keep in tune with what's happening and sharpen my craft.
Totally. I also feel like it's a little bit of a trickle-down effect, because I know some educators who they want to keep learning and want to keep innovating, but then their admin is very stuck in their ways, and so they feel stuck, like they can't continue on. So it's almost like that balance of
that's right, and
continuing to keep learning.
we try to talk to educators that are in that position and say, you know, one of my things is if you're surrounded by people that they may not have the spirit to run and to get after it, a lot of times when they see that somebody else is pushing so hard and they're striving to always be excellent and be better, that can inspire people around you.
Absolutely. So when you came back from COVID and now we're all in the classroom again, did you see a shift in the students at all?
We have noticed that their social interaction has taken a hit. A lot of our students, we have a competition every year that's called the Amazing Shake, where our students go through a gauntlet of challenges in our gym, like making a toast at somebody's wedding, or they have to pretend that they're in court trying to win a case, or they have a pitch they're trying to sell to some CEOs. Our students have had to fire somebody before, pretend. Okay. And what we found is after COVID, some of the skills that we were used to before COVID that were built up into our students, they're not as strong right now. And so that social piece has taken a hit. Also, I've seen things such as like reading fatigue and testing fatigue. Like our students, they were normally being in class for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. They could push through and they had no problem. Now we've built in slight breaks throughout our schedule throughout the day because our students their brains are kind of like, all right, I'm warped at this point in time because being at home and being on a computer has sort of stifled that, I think, that growth.
Never seen a school like this before, and I'm excited to sit down with a teacher who has like mastered this way of teaching, because I am big in innovative learning and keeping up with the times. That's the whole reason I got on social media, was to keep up with my students, and finding a school that believes wholeheartedly in that.
We want educators to see education can be this. It doesn't have to be white walls and, you know, straight rows of desks and teachers sitting at the front talking. It can be standing on tables and jumping and singing songs and doing hand motions, and, you know, it can be all of it.
How do you guys have a lot of like behaviors or discipline?
Yeah, so
what's that like
at the
in
beginning
a
of
setting like this?
when they arrive, their fourth grade year, we go through a process that's called their orientation, and it lasts about 3 days. We have 55 rules, 55 rules in our school, but they're not just rules; they're procedures and they're guidelines, and they're honestly ways to live your life. Some of them I implement just because they're really good.
Okay.
And they're in Mr. Clark's book called The Essential 55, and we all follow the Essential 55. And so the first 3 days, the students they're taught about those rules, so they get to hear the rule. Then the rule is modeled for them, and then we explain why we have that rule. And so usually within that 3 days, we can kind of align the students the way we want them. Then when school starts, you may have some discipline problems and things but it's very simple, where students may not be tracking at the right time or talking out of turn or things like that. But the level of discipline that the teachers implement with the students, usually within, I'd say, a month or two, I think if you would visit our school, you would see it runs like a well-oiled machine at that point in time. And so teachers that visit in the fall, they may be like, versus teachers that visit in the spring, they're kind of like, it's all just working so fluid and crisp. And so in the fall, we have to get them in shape. But we believe if you put the work in early and you get them in a line early, then it's not as much work later on.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. So give me a couple examples of the 55.
So things like walking
rules.
on the right side of the hall is one. And so we kind of tell the students that you walk on the right side of the hall, and when, there's a reason why. If a student's walking on the left side, and let's say they have an iPad or they have a plate of food or something, if you're on the right and they're on the left and you hit them, they're going to spill everything. So everybody walks on the right side. One of the very unique rules is that you can't have Doritos in our school, ever. And that's because Mr. Clark hates Doritos. And it's like, is that it? And he's like, nope, I don't like Doritos. And so no Doritos. If somebody brings Doritos, he'll take them, he'll throw them down, he'll smash them, and completely destroy them. And so that's one as well. Another one is if you enter our building and somebody is there, you have to say hello. And good morning or good evening or something like that. If you go into a classroom, when you walk into the classroom, you have to greet the teacher that's there. You can't walk in and just walk in and sit down. You have to walk in and say, hello, how's your day going? Things like that. When kids leave our classrooms, we teach them about gratitude and to say thank you. And so some days my lesson I feel like is not good. And when they leave, the kids say, thank you so much for that lesson today, Mr. Thompson. It means a lot. And the next day I'm thinking, I'm going to go harder. I'm going to do more because the kids, they really enjoyed that lesson today. And Colin was really heartfelt and that felt great. So I'm going to boogie and get after it tomorrow. So just simple things like that, teaching kids proper ways to do things. And, all those things may not be things that are disciplinary action because a kid didn't say thank you. But, it's a way to live your life. So those are procedures that we institute across the school that sets a certain culture in our classroom. So it is, like I would say, I just had to fill this out. It's about 95 to 96% African-American. And then we have about, I would say maybe 2 or 3% Caucasian, and then the other 2 or 3% is other.
Wow, that's awesome. So coming from now the teacher side of things, how do you prevent burnout for yourself? Because you can always keep innovating, keep learning, and strive for that. But COVID has been, I think, one of the hardest times for educators across the board, and they're feeling burnt out. And now we're trying to learn new techniques to teach and deal with what's happened in COVID. So what is your advice? What have you done?
First and foremost is having balance in my life. And so teaching is a very large part of my life, but it's not just my life. And I think that a lot of times we put our career at the forefront instead of saying, no, I have family and I have a daughter that is 1 and I want to spend time with her and we're going to go to the park on the weekend and stuff like that. And so, I love my church and being involved in my church and having community in my church. All of those are, I think, vital and very important to livelihood, exercise, all the things, right? Social interaction. And so, I would say there are times that at the school, when I get home, I cut off, what's going on at school. And I just spend time with family and friends, and I'm not thinking about and worried about what's going on at the school. And the first few years that I worked at the school, I wasn't quite like that. I did focus a lot on my job and my career. And so that was a shift as well. But also, I think a big thing that helps me prevent burnout is I love what I do. Having a fun passion to teach and teach science is something that I think really helps me. Diving deeper and learning about new technology and learning about new ways that I can implement something and do something. But also, starting as a teacher my first few years, there was a lot of time that I would look at a lab and I would be like, that would be really fun, but I ain't got all that, so I can't do that. And as time goes by, I started to say, well, where can I get that? How can I do that? And instead of being so much of I don't quite have that, trying to find a way to make it happen and do it. And the experience of that kind of being a little risky at times, it makes the job a little more fun. And some ideas were awful and they didn't work at all, but just going for it sometimes it keeps the excitement up in the profession. And I would say lastly, helping other people is, we always say the way that you lift yourself up is by lifting other people up. And so to share an idea we have educators visit. We have 400 coming this Friday. I get to share all these ideas with them, but at the same time, there are colleagues in my building that may not know that their Promethean board does this little thing if they touch it this way or something. And so sharing that stuff and, collaborating with each other makes our job a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. If you guys are the innovators in education, who trains you? Like,
so
do you guys get professional development?
We do go to professional development. I attend several things throughout the school year, and honestly, there have been things that I speak at. Like coming up in August, I will speak at a conference called Champions for Science. But I will also attend the conference because why not? Some of the best teachers will be there in science, and so I attend the conference. I do ISTE, I do NSTA, I do a lot of different things like that. And we have a staff retreat every year before the school year starts where we go somewhere, no telling where. I mean, we've been to Orlando, we've been to Tennessee, we've been to Puerto Rico, we've been to, and we have a retreat. And at that retreat, we talk about all the ideas and the new things that we have discovered and come across. And we also talk about the school and, what can get better? Where are opportunities to get better at the school and how can we do that? And so a lot of times that's where the things that we have learned, they pop out and they come from. And so we do seek out training and we seek out ideas and articles. And in a private school, it can be a bubble sometimes and you can forget what's going on in the public school world. And so keeping abreast on that, I think, is really important.
Do you think that having like your admin having that level of trust in the teachers that you will get the job done, you will get academics done, even if it's not in the traditional way? Do you think that inspires you a little bit to keep going and to be better and do better because they trust you?
The level of freedom that we have, it allows me to express my creativity onto my students and my storytelling and my demonstrations and my, just experimenting sometimes. I mean, I wanted to do this combustion thing where I lit my hand on fire, but I wasn't sure if am I going to hurt myself? Am I going to hurt I did it before the kids came in. Am I going to hurt my room? Where's the fire alarm? Am I going to set it off? Am I going to, but my bosses would say, set the alarm off. Try it. It's fine. They want us to be bigger and be bolder and dissect a shark and, just all the things where it's do the most grandiose thing that you can to give the students an experience that they've never had before. So that level of freedom in our building, I would say that no one teacher really teaches like the other teacher. You may go into Mr. Yeah, that's I think another way that we can touch kids where if there's 30 kids in a class, 5 may love the way I do things and resonate with me. 5 may resonate with Miss Barnes. 5 may resonate with Mr. Clark. And so if there's 30 kids in that class, is there an advocate for at least one of those, is at least one person getting to those kids? And so I think that's a huge deal. But if everybody had to teach one unified way, I think that's where you're going to have 10 or 15 kids in a classroom that are saying, I'm an artist, and nobody really expresses themselves as a poet or, creative. And so I don't really resonate with anybody here at my school. And I think that's when we lead to social emotional problems. Yes. So, and we're lucky. We have that. And, we have the wacky and crazy. We have the calm and cool collective. We've got, so I think that's what the freedom truly does.
I love it. I think there's so much to learn from the Ron Clark Academy. Thank you so much for joining the Future of Learning. To learn more about the Ron Clark Academy or anything we talked about in this episode, you can go to the link in our bio and it'll have all of the information. Have a great day, everyone. Stay learning.